What you're watching right now is an AI model writing code, testing it, figuring out what went wrong, and fixing it with zero human involvement. No one's prompting it between steps, it's just going. Now this is MiniMax M2.7. You may have heard of it already, and the reason I'm covering this is not just because it's a good coding model, it's because this model helped build itself. MiniMax literally had the model construct the system used to train the next version of itself, and I think that's a pretty big deal and something that not enough people are talking about right now. So in this video, I'm going to break down what this actually means, how well the model performs, and then I'm going to use it to build a bunch of real projects so you can see exactly the performance of this model and kind of the new self-improvement era that we've moved into. Okay, so the model helped build itself. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, simply put, when you train an AI model, there's a ton of infrastructure around it. You have data pipelines, experiment tracking, evaluation systems, and normally humans build all of that. But MiniMax said, what if the model can build it itself? So they gave M2.7 the job of constructing their entire research agent harness. And it doesn't mean it wrote some random scripts. A single person with zero manual coding had M2.7 autonomously architect a full agent harness complete with CI, testing, and code review in 4 days. They then let it continuously improve that system based on the results. Now the model runs an experiment, sees what failed, modifies its own tooling, and then runs again. So over 100 rounds of this with no humans touching anything, and by the end of this, there was a 30% improvement on the internal benchmarks. Now the model found optimizations that the human team just hadn't found yet. And this isn't just an internal claim from MiniMax. You can see here I have the Sweep Pro and the MLE Bench results that I just put into a nice diagram here. And this MLE Bench 22 Kaggle competition, this is what you're seeing right here, was released by OpenAI to measure autonomous AI research. Now, M2.7 won 9 gold medals in this with a 66% average score, which is right behind the current frontier models like GPT 5.4 and Opus 4.6. Similar results when we go and look at the Sweep Pro benchmark, where we're right behind the 2 best models as of now. Now with these results, MiniMax is clearly one of the current best models that is out there right now, and the thing that excites me the most is that they just announced that they're going to be releasing the open weights for this model in just a few weeks. When I post this video, it may already be out, but at least when I'm recording it, they said it's going to be about 2 weeks from now that they're releasing the model. At least that's what I currently know. Now with this MiniMax model, the one thing that does stand out as opposed to just running it on coding tasks is how well it complies with tool calls. So especially if you want to run this inside of something like OpenClaw, this is a pretty big deal. Now what they did is they ran an experiment where they had 50 plus skills and 100 plus features, and MiniMax had a 97% compliance rate in terms of calling those tools and working with those different features. Now the average model struggles a lot when you give it a ton of different tools. You can see it usually has a 74% compliance rate, whereas MiniMax upped that significantly. So in complex environments with a lot of different tool set, this is something that's really shining, not just purely for coding. So the bottom line here is that it's a frontier level model competing with the best models out there, but with a real edge and agent reliability like we just saw with the tool calling here. And what I want to do now is get into a bunch of demos so we can actually test this out and see how it performs in the real world. So what I want to do now is show you how you can actually use this agent, go over the pricing, all of that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to walk through a bunch of demos so you can see the real world performance before you go test it out for yourself. Now, first thing to note is that MiniMax M2.7 here is available via an API, a token subscription plan, or directly from their website. They actually have a lot of different options. The easiest way to use it if you just want to test its basic ability to call tools or use it in some kind of claw bot or something is directly from the agent platform, so agent.minimax.io. But I know most of you are developers and you're more interested in using it in like Cursor or Claude Code or something along those lines. So the way that you can do that is you can go to their API platform. I'll leave a link to in the description, platform.minimax.io, and then you can either purchase a token plan or you can just pay for your usage using an API key. So they have this new token plan concept, which is kind of unique to MiniMax. And what you can do is you can pay a monthly fee or you can subscribe to it annually if you want to save and get 2 months free. And this token plan will give you access to different rate limits and speed when using the plan. So you can see like the highest one here is 30,000 model requests every 5 hours. And the interesting thing about these token plans is they actually give you access to multimodal capabilities in terms of text generation, video generation, text to speech. It's all in one subscription, so you don't need to pay extra. Now, big shout out to MiniMax for partnering with me on this video and giving me access to the Plus plan here. You can see just 20 bucks per month, 4,500 model requests every 5 hours, and then just normal speed, right? And then you can use it in OpenClaw, all of this kind of stuff, as well as generating the images and the speech. So what I'm gonna do now is go to my account. From here, what I'm looking for is my token plan key. So if I go to token plan, you can see that I have the key right here, and then you're able to see all of your usage. So what I'm gonna do is copy this key, and then I'm gonna quickly refer over to the documentation and show you how we can set it up inside of Cursor as well as Claude Code, but you can effectively use it anywhere. All right, so to get set up, it's pretty basic, but I would recommend that you refer to this documentation. Again, I'll link it in the description. You can see you can use it in Cursor, OpenClaw, Kilo, Klein, RuCode. Some of these I've never even heard of, Codex, Droid, Zed, all of this kind of stuff, and it shows you the exact setup. For now, I'll set it up in Claude Code because I know a lot of you are using that, and then I'll quickly show you the Cursor config as well. Now, to use this inside of Claude Code, what we need to do is we need to find our .claude/settings.json file, and we need to update the configuration to change these environment variables. So what we're going to do is we're going to just set the Anthropic base URL to be the MiniMax API, and then we're going to set the Anthropic auth token to be our MiniMax subscription token. Now, you also, I'll just quickly show you, if you don't want to buy the subscription, you just want to use it on a per cost basis, you can create an API key from this API platform, and then you can go and just add some balance here, and then you can just directly run it through the API. You don't need to have the token plan, but the token plan is obviously going to be significantly better value. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go to Claude, let's find that file, and let's set it up. So there are a ton of different ways that you can set this up. In my case, because I'm on Mac, I can just run this command. Now, I already configured it earlier, but you can see that I just pasted in that env block directly inside of my settings. Notice it's outside of the enabled plugins, and we have the base URL and the token. So then I can just get out of that. I can rerun Claude, and then you can see it's now using MiniMax. And if I say something like hello, we just wait a second here, and then we should get a response noticing that it's using the MiniMax M2.7 model. Okay, and you can see that it gives us the reply, and then we can continue and we can use this. Now, the next quick setup that I want to show you is inside of Cursor. So let's do that, and then let's do a bunch of demos. So same thing here, just referencing the docs. What it says is, of course, you need to download, install, and sign into Cursor. Click on models, expand the API keys, and then override the API base URL as well as the API token. So it says just change the API key and the base URL. So let's see if we can do that. So from Cursor, we're just gonna go to the settings here. We're gonna go and find models. From models, we can go to the API key section. And then what we can do is we can just override this. So we can change the base URL by toggling that. Switch that over to MiniMax. So let's grab the URL that it's telling us right here, which is going to be this one right here. Okay, so let's go and paste that in. Okay, and then we need the API key. So same thing, we just go to our account, copy the key, obviously don't share it with anyone, and paste it here. Okay, now we also need to enable this, so I'm just going to enable the toggle right there. Okay, so now that we enabled that, which we just did, we need to go to models, view all models, and then add a custom model with it, which is MiniMax M2.7. So let's go here to models. We're going to go view all models, and then I think if we scroll down, it says add custom model. From here, we can just paste MiniMax M2.7 and then just simply add that one in, and then we should be able to start using it from Cursor. Okay, so now it's on, so let's just open up a new project and let's start running some demos. Okay, so from Cursor, let's make sure we select the MiniMax model, so MiniMax M2.7. And what I'm gonna do is just see how well this can one-shot a few different applications. Let's start with that for a coding task. So I have a prompt that I wrote before. I said, build a real-time system monitoring dashboard. I want you to use Next.js, app router, TypeScript, etc. I want you to monitor the CPU. I want you to have a process list. So essentially just monitor what's going on in my computer. This is a relatively complicated task that I would be impressed if it was able to one-shot with really any model, but let's run it and let's see the result that we get. All right, so it just finished up here. You can see this is the prompt that I gave it. It had 6 to-dos, went through, completed everything. If we quickly have a look at the application, you can see that things are nicely separated. We have types, styles, components, the app, the source. Overall, everything looks pretty good. We also have an API for pulling the metrics. Let's quickly look at those, and we can see that we're correctly pulling from system information, which is what I was hoping it was going to do. You can see we get details about our Mac. This is a local IP address, by the way, so don't try to hack me here. We have our current network usage, inbound and outbound, in a nice kind of live chart. We have all of our processes. You can see OBS is using a lot of CPU because I'm recording the screen. We have, pretty much everything that I was asking for. So what I want to do now is I want to ask some follow-up prompts, get some improvements to the user interface, and let's see how it handles that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is ask it for 3 changes. First, I want to add an alerts panel. So if the CPU goes above 90%, as it is right now, I want to be alerted. I also want the process list to stop re-rendering because I believe how it's written, if I quickly checked, it's re-rendering and it's not memoized. Then I want to add a time range selector to the network chart so that I can choose what range I actually want to view the network at. Now I'm asking 3 changes at once because I want to test to see if it's able to actually handle all of them at once rather than just one by one, because usually the weaker models will fall apart when you try to ask them multiple changes at one time. So anyways, let's submit this and let's see what we get. Okay, so it looks like I was able to handle that pretty quickly. We can see that we have the alerts now saying the memory is above the threshold. We can also go and check the network activity, and we can change the range here, and you can see that it's slightly adjusting so we can see it a little bit better. Of course, because we haven't been monitoring for 5 or 15 minutes, it's not really doing much for us when we change that, but later then we would, obviously be able to filter it a little bit better. Cool, and then we have the processes and all of that is good. Now, one thing that I am noticing is that I don't really love the style of the page, especially like this scroll bar and stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a screenshot of this and I'm gonna hand this over to the model. And I'm just gonna say review this and improve the style and design of the page. So let's just go with sexier and see what it can do there. So we're just in the middle of the UI improvement here, already looking a lot better in terms of the enhancements that it's made. I mean, it just looks like much more professional now. So let's see what happens once it finishes up. So it looks like it's just wrapping up here. Overall, this looks significantly better. I'm pretty impressed from a single prompt we were able to get that. But obviously, I want to keep going. And now I want to test something that a lot of models struggle with, which is a full refactor. So at this point, it's built everything out, but a lot of times when you ask these models to refactor the code, because there are so many changes and so much context going on, it will break something or mess something up. So I'm essentially going to say, now go back and refactor the entire data fetching layer. And then right now, each component is pulling its own API route independently. I want a single WebSocket connection that pushes all the system data in one payload every 2 seconds. And each component subscribes to just the fields that it needs via React Context Provider. So a more advanced architecture here. Let's see if it will do that without breaking something. I'll be surprised, but let's run it. And let's also just quickly check the usage while we're at it. So right now, you can see we're running 139 out of 4,500 tasks. Now I've been running this a fair amount. We have 4 prompts with a lot of different tasks going. I ran a few other prompts kind of in between when I was recording, messing around with the model. And generally we're nowhere near close to hitting the usage window, and we could be running like multiple sub-agents right now and be completely fine. So very, very cheap. And remember, I'm paying $20 per month for this. Well, I got it for free, but I would be paying $20 per month. So it's not like I'm forking out $200 per month with a thing like Claude and hardly being able to stay within my usage limit. All right, so it looks like the refactor just finished up here. It created this system data context for us. And it actually looks like this is pretty good. It's pulling everything out of this kind of context window that we had exactly as I asked for. And then it made all the different file changes here. You can see it's mentioned all of the things that we can delete now. It just left them there as reference. And if I go back to the monitor, let's just refresh here and we can see that everything is working. We have the memory usage alert, we have the network tab, we have CPU memory, and it didn't break anything, which is honestly pretty impressive, considering again, the relative cost of this compared to some of the frontier models. So now let's get a few more last things to do and really stress this. Okay, so I have a much more complex prompt now where I'm going to say I want to deploy this as a lightweight self-hosted tool that people can install on any Linux server with one command. Walk me through the trade-offs. Should I package as a Docker container, a single binary, etc.? Think through this and then give me a recommendation, and then we'll have it build it out. So let's see how it can reason on something like this, a little bit more complicated with kind of DevOps related stuff. And I probably should have put that into the ask mode, but anyways, let's see the result that we get. Okay, so that was surprisingly fast. It's giving me a few options here, Docker being number 1, which is what I probably would have gone with, single binary, npm install script, and then let's see what it's adjusting. Okay. Cool, so let's tell it go with Docker. Okay, go with Docker and build it out. And let's see if it can make that. All right, so that just wrapped up. Looks like we now have a full Docker file as well as a docker compose.yaml and then readme instructions on how to set all of this up. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. I know it was a relatively small demo, but generally speaking, I mean, it didn't really make any mistakes. There's hardly anything that I need to go back and forth with it on. I literally just did 4 prompts and we built out this entire application. And again, if we go back to the usage here, we can refresh. We've really hardly used anything. What are we at? Maybe, 4% in I've been recording for a while now, maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes. So if we just spun up a bunch of sub-agents, kept using this, we're gonna be nowhere near our usage. And again, at just $20 a month, I think is a really good deal. Now look, I think that this model is really important, not just because of the performance, but because of the way that it was trained. It's super interesting that now AI models are training AI models, and we're kind of getting into this like matrix situation where AI is building AI that builds better AI. And shout out to MiniMax for discussing all of this and promising to open source these model weights very soon. I can't wait to start running this through something like Ollama, running into my OpenClaw instances. And I just think the cost to performance here is really, really good. And you guys should definitely consider checking it out. So anyways, with that said, I'm gonna wrap up the video here. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you in another video.